Hi guys, it's Christine. I wanted to just come on and share something that I was very inspired by today. And I wanted to share that sometimes, most often, more times than not, God will not allow you to fit in certain places and with certain people because He wants you to know that when He opens the doors, it's because of Him, and it's because of the favor that He has on you, and not because of the favor of man. And I'm not saying that we can't have the favor of man. We can have the favor of man. But what I'm saying is, more oftentimes than not, God will allow us to go through life and experience rejection after rejection after rejection. And a lot of times we won't understand and we won't realize why. And it can become very discouraging and disheartening and even despairing at times. And I was just thinking of even situations in my own life where I've experienced this more often than not in my life. And there was just a situation that happened today where I was praying about something, and I really was waiting on an answer to hear back on the request that I had made. And I didn't think that the request was going to happen. Actually, I'm pretty sure, I can guarantee you that the request was not going to happen. The people that I was reaching out to weren't getting back to me. They were stalling. It didn't seem like an important matter to them, but it was very important to me, and I needed to have an answer right away. And I did my due diligence to make sure that I covered all my bases in reaching out and making the request known and following up and asking for, just follow up and for response. And the day was just, coming to a close and coming to an end, at the end of the day, I didn't hear anything, and I was still waiting. And there was a situation where I was walking into the facility that I was walking into, and the exact person at the exact time that I needed to speak to about the situation was walking right out the door at the same time. And now, mind you, the person that I had originally been asking was not the same person. They were kind of a go-between between this person and I, and the middleman, so to speak. And so the middleman didn't seem like they had any care in the world about getting back to me or letting me know any results or if there was any response or anything. And I knew that the time was just, coming down to the wire, where it was like, I'm not gonna, that request is not going to be granted, and I'm not going to be able to have that situation happen. So I literally was walking out the door, and this person that I needed to have direct contact with was standing right in front of my face. And I knew it was the Lord. I knew it was the Lord. And I was just like, wow. And I talked to them about the situation, and they granted my request. I was so amazed at how I knew it was the Lord. And there was a moment that came in where I felt that the reason my request was granted was because of the favor of man. And in a way, it was, but it was really the Lord that set up that that he set up that interaction for me to be able to be literally walking into the place while the person that I needed to contact was literally walking out. And as I mentioned, the time is really coming down to the wire where I needed to have a response and to know. And I knew it was the Lord, but the test for me was to think that people really like me. And I know this sounds weird because people, we want people to like us, right? We're human beings. We want people to like us. But the Lord specifically spoke to me in that moment, because the temptation was to think that, oh, wow, I must be really getting in good here. And the Lord said to me, I felt this very strongly in my spirit. The reason that I've gone through life having so many people, the majority of the time, I would say 99.9% of the time, really either not like me or tolerate me, has been because if I thought for one moment that those people were liking me out of the favor of man, then I would not need to rely on the Lord, because I would be looking to man to satisfy my needs. Right after that thought, I thought to myself, wow, that's a really hard place to be in. It's a really hard place to be in life when you go from one situation to the next, or one relationship to the next, and there's this constant rubbing up against you, or this constant friction with these relationships that sometimes it's just pure misery, having to just trudge through and navigate these type of relationships. And so I really felt like the Lord gave me that favor in the moment, almost kind of like a relief or a reprieve of like someone in the desert having a cup of cold water. Like, wow, this is what it really feels like to be refreshed. Because I really felt refreshed in that moment by that interaction. But I knew that it wasn't the relationship with the person. I knew that it wasn't because of the person even wanted to grant me the request. I knew it was because the Lord set it up for me to be at the perfect place at the perfect time, where they were coming out and we met at the same time, and I was able to ask that person directly and not have that go between, and get the response that I was looking for, because maybe they felt like I had a valid point, or they didn't want to reject me or say no in the moment because it would have just been awkward. But who knows, right? But my whole point in saying that is that, when the Lord spoke to my heart and in my spirit, and I really felt the Lord say, Christine, one of the reasons why you've had this like your whole entire life has been because if I let you have this all the time, you would never have to look to me, and you would never see it as really the favor of God or the blessing of God. And they're even able to draw their opponents or their enemies to like them. I've known people that were very good at that were really able to turn enemies into maybe not so much friends. And I think even the Bible talks about that when the godly people are flourisher and they're in the land, even their enemies will be at peace with them. And that's what I really felt in this situation. And it was that, maybe this woman didn't necessarily want or have the desire to grant that request, but I knew that it was the favor of the Lord. Just wanted to come on here and share that. And I don't know if anybody can identify, but that was just something that happened today. And I wanted to just come on and share it, that, you know, sometimes when we go through these situations in life, when we feel like we're just experienced like rejection after rejection, it really is. And it reminds me of Paul with the thorn in the flesh, you know, where God says, my grace is sufficient for you. And he allowed that thorn for Paul so that it kept Paul from being puffed up and conceited and proud. And I think sometimes when I had that situation today, it really reminded me that that was the favor of God, and it wasn't necessarily the favor of man, or that they wanted to do what they did, but God set that situation up in such a perfect timing that it was able to happen in my favor. So, all right, guys, with that being said, God bless you. And if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this to get the message across, share this content. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.